Newt does a review of Debbie Does Demons. I mean, how can you see that title and not at least go, what the fuck, and give it like a minute? So this movie was directed by Donald Farmer. I'm reviewing it because I am connected to it as a producer and as a segment writer. But let's go back in time to 2016 when Donald Farmer put out Shark Exorcist through Wild Eye Releasing. My buddy Eric Wilkinson from MVD is connected to Wild Eye and said, would your theater be interested in running a screening of Shark Exorcist? And the poster was fucking beautiful that they sent us. And I was like, oh, God, yeah. So I had the poster out front for like a month leading up to the movie. And it's funny because there was a church across the street. And then one day we were sitting in the box office and a bunch of priests came over and got their pictures taken in front of it. I also screened Donald's Cannibal Cop as well at the theater. But after that, going to when I was working at the other company and on the other show, Donald was putting together Bigfoot Exorcist. And he's like, do you guys want to shoot the opening scene? So I talked Crystal from Hack the Movies and Tony from Hack the Movies into doing it. And we shot it on Justin Silverman's birthday. I remember that, before his birthday party, behind what is now Screenwave's new studio offices. And he let me write the whole opening. He said, it just has to end here. So I came up with the whole opening. So I wrote and directed it. Tony from Hack the Movies did the camera. Crystal from Hack the Movies was our main actress. And it ends with her guts being pulled out, and all the gore effects were done by Joe Lascola from the Movie Dumpster. So he was happy with that. That movie has not come out yet. I think it's a 2024 release. So once I turned that in, he said, hey, so I got the go-ahead to do Shark Exorcist 2. Do you want to shoot a scene in that? And he didn't really have any parameters this time. It was like, do what you want as long as it's this long. So it was on Tony from Hack the Movie's birthday in August, right before I got Bell's palsy, actually, and then right before all the shitty stuff happened. But we had filmed at this camp that has this lake, and it was Crystal in the water, Tony running the camera, and my friend Steve Carino, who's a filmmaker, was there. Justin Silverman was there, and I had a water camera. So I did a lot of really cool, Jaws just skimming the water shots, and then with the drone doing some Evil Dead type shots. It was far more kinetic and interesting than what I'd done before, because there was really not any dialogue. You're just going to have an attractive woman in a bikini, and then, it ends with blood. So we had shot that whole thing, and he had all the footage, and then I got fired for plagiarism, and then everybody hated me. So they said, we're not giving Donald Farmer the content. We deleted it. You're bad for our brand. Okay. So by the time I was done licking my wounds, self-inflicted, I said, all right, I want to add something, but there's not a lot of time left. So at the time, I was working on another project with Fallon, who I would go on to do Sucks to Suck with. And I was like, look, do you want to come up to the studio and shoot a segment? So we needed a segment in the middle of the movie for Donald where it was like a TV ad for the town. So I thought it'd be funny to write one where she's like a Lindsay Lohan type of character, where she was a celebrity or an influencer for something, but her bad behavior has now landed her with community service. And her community service is she has to do a PSA telling people to come to this short town, and that it's not as terrible as everybody makes it out to be. So I just came up with all these horrible things that used to go on in the town that she's pretty sure don't happen anymore. So it's tongue-in-cheeky type of thing. So that came out really well, and that's going to get a big release. They've already released the poster for Shark Exorcist 2. And, back when we were working on it, when I was with the other guys, the owner was just like, why are you wasting your time with that? It's like, it's just going to get made fun of, and I'm just like, yeah, but then you're in the mix. If a big channel talks about your shit, then you're part of the equation now. You can parlay that into something. So I've always just wanted to be more, in the mix and making things that instead of talking about things that people made. Does that make any sense? That's why I was like, I'm doing movie reviews to see if anybody actually gives a shit about me still, but really I want to just be making movies and stuff. So, so we shot that scene. Obviously Donald was disappointed that we didn't get the one with, all the other cool stuff, but we got it done. So then he said to me, he's like, hey, I'm doing Debbie Does Demons. And I need an ending scene, for another paranormal investigation show. Do you want to add something? So Debbie Does Demons is available through Culture Shock Releasing. I think I said that. And Vinegar Syndrome. It's selling like crazy. It's already been sold out twice. The slipcover that features my segment is one of the main segments. It's really, really beautiful. It's the one with the redheaded girl with the blood coming down her face. That's Roxy Hart, who was the main actress for the segment that I wrote. So the original plan was going to be to do this scene with Fallon, but unfortunately she was unavailable. And then Metz was in the hospital, so I had to hand it off to someone else. I wrote it. It's about the son of a prominent 1980s porn director who 40 years ago to the night tried to conjure a succubus on film and fuck it, and then make porn history. And it goes awry, everyone's burned alive, the son returns 40 years later and accidentally raises a succubus and wackiness ensues. Lee Price plays me, basically. I named the character Newt Wallen because I was going to play it. If you go back and you look at the kimono video that I did back when Top Gun came out, that was my costume for the thing, and we didn't get a chance to shoot it. So I handed it off to my buddy Mark Mackner, who made the Daisy Durkins movies, and I think he's been mentioned on Red Letter Media, I know that, and he's also been, I think he was a guest or mentioned on Hack the Movies. But then Mark couldn't do it, but Mark brought in Roxy, who had worked with him on another project, and I mean, she's beautiful, she's got great tattoos, her hair, like everything, there's just very striking about her, so the camera really digs her. So he handed it then off to Brian Wilde, who's a filmmaker in Delaware, and I had never met Brian before, I'd never heard of him before. He was friends with a lot of my mutual friends. I sent him the script, and he loved it. So him, his wife, Roxy, Lee Price, and some other people got together at their studio in Delaware, and they shot the segment, and it came out great. I'm not biased when I say it's my favorite part of the movie, but it's also really funny, and it even though I'm not the one who shot it, they got the tone of how I wrote it. The inflections were in the right places, the pauses were in the right places. A lot of times when you hand stuff off, you're kind of at their whim, and then you watch it and go, ah. But that's just me. So they did an awesome job with it, and it's cool that it's now kind of moved them into another place where they're making a lot more content, and more people are seeing them, because they did a movie called The Bug, which Lloyd Kaufman was in, so I was asked by Brian to come out and be a reporter in that. So that's, if you saw my pictures where I was hanging out with Lloyd Kaufman for the day in Delaware, it was for Brian Wilde's The movie The Bug. So Debbie Does Demons is about 4 friends who play with a Ouija board, of course, and conjure up a demon witch. Jessa Flux plays the demon witch. I just worked with her and Morgan Thompson, who's also in the movie, on James Dean's XXXmas. Angel Bradford, who is Debbie in it. I have not worked with her yet, but we've talked about it. And then Roni Jonah is in the movie as well. She's one of my favorite indie film actresses and directors. I've been wanting to work with her for a really long time, ever since I saw the first Shark Exorcist, where she's the one that Red Letter Media makes fun of, Donald, because she's like writhing around on the ground, like puking and stuff like that. And they said that's Donald's fetish. But I mean, how many fucking people saw that Red Letter Media review and now they know this? I mean, Stephen King tweeted out like a year or two ago that Shark Exorcist is a movie. And Donald was like, yeah, and there's a sequel coming out. And then a bunch of people started following him from that, So it's cool that this movie came together. Adam Freeman is in it, who I met through Len Kabaczynski when we were doing Swamp Zombies 2. There's a bunch of like indie people who always work with Donald and all came together on this. And it's also really cool that like it's out there. You could go to Culture Shock right now and pick it up, and it's got beautiful artwork, and like I said, the slipcover that might be sold out now with Roxy on the cover is really, really cool, and people are enjoying it. It's a no budget boobs and witches and puppets type of movie. That's bookended by a handsome, bald, muscular man playing me. So you might have to suspend your disbelief a little bit. But it's fun. It's schlock, and that's what's cool about it. And so Donald's already reached out to me about the next one, which will be a follow-up to a movie he made a long time ago. And he has 2 very specific scenes that he wants me to shoot. He'd asked if I can get Fallon back again, so I'm going to see if she wants to do it. Then I can, with the one scene in particular, I can do a lot of those camera things that I wanted to do in the Shark Exorcist scene I shot with my old crew. So that'll be a little bit more kinetic and Evil Dead-y. And then he's doing Amityville Aliens, and he asked me if I wanted to add a 15 to 20 minute segment. So I wrote Amityville versus the Galactic Samurai Schoolgirls. So it's sort of a takeoff on the Orson Welles War of the Worlds hoax, but mixed with like a early 90s late night Skinamax movie, So yeah, it's cool that he asks me to do stuff, because I knew his filmmaking, before, from the VHS days, Red Lips and Demon Queen and stuff like that. Demon Cop. Did he do Demon Cop? He might have done Demon Cop. He did Cannibal Cop. I don't know. There's so many of these movies. But yeah, so to be friendly with him and him asking me to add stuff to his movie is exciting. It's a chance to, your stuff's going to get seen. It's going to be on sale. So we'll see what happens with those. But in the meantime, you should go to Culture Shock Releasing or Vinegar Syndrome and pick up a copy of Debbie Does Demons, and then leave a comment about how my part was the best part, But no, that's it. I just wanted to pop on here and talk a little bit about, this movie that I worked on that's for sale right now, and the cool fucking people who I met who also worked on this. I'm so excited in the fall when XXXmas comes out, because Morgan and Jessa were just really cool to work with, and I definitely want to bring them and Roni and Angel out when we shoot something, when I actually have a little bit of money, because they're like very professional on set. They know their lines. They add something funny to everything. Jessa and I definitely had some fun interactions together, because I'm only in like 4 scenes of the movie, but I tried to improv my lines each time and do something to catch people off guard. And Jessa in this dinner table scene really played well off of me. And Morgan was just super cool hanging out with her the whole weekend and figuring out how to turn off the hot tub for her, which was impossible. And and then Angel and Roni will work with eventually. Roni was going to be in what was going to be Sharkula at the time. She was going to be in there, I think, and Brad Jones as well. Obviously he won't come be in it, but she still can. Now it's called Jaws Ferratu. But yeah, no, the indie film world is cool when you get to be a part of it, and I never see it as a like, oh, this is trash or whatever. It's like, no, it's fun, and it's something that people are clearly into, for how many fucking DVDs and Blu-rays have sold. And it's not about like the clout or anything like that. It's more so just getting to prove that you can run with people who are doing this way more often than I am, and to keep getting asked back means a lot, It's just same thing with Fredel and Ray and people like that who I've befriended, who I was fans of when I was a kid. It just means, okay, well, you guys kind of, I learned this from watching you, if you talk about those 80s drug PSAs, and now to kind of to get to play in their world and be involved in their releases. So I'm excited for you guys to check out Debbie Does Demons now that it's out. Bigfoot Exorcist will be coming out. That's going to be a little bit awkward with my old crew. I'll see if they promote it or not. Probably won't. And then it'll be exciting to see what happens with Shark Exorcist 2, because our scene is obviously it's short, but it's in the middle of all this insanity, and it's already got a name for itself from all the people who savaged the first one. So it'll be cool. I think that one's going to get a lot of buzz, and then we move into this sequel, Demon Queen sequel, and the Amityville Aliens one. And it's cool to be involved in other people's stuff. And when it's not distinctly yours, you can experiment a little bit more. So I have liked each time kind of trying something a little bit different. But this one totally goes down to Brian Wildley Price, Roxy Hart, everybody over at the studios in Delaware. Like, you guys made this one happen. You know, I wrote it and kind of told them how I wanted it to be, and then they picked it up and ran with it and made it better than I thought it would be. So thank you, Brian, and thank you, Lee, for playing me. And I kind of want to write a full feature about the whole porn demon thing, but we'll see about that. But yeah, go to Culture Shock Releasing and pick up your copy of Donald Farmer's Debbie Does Demons. I don't think you will be disappointed. You know, Donald's great, and you know, fuck Red Letter Media for making fun of him. You know, because he's given a lot of people opportunities that wouldn't have opportunities for things to actually get seen. You know, stuff is getting released through Culture Shock or getting released through Wild Eye Releasing. You know, and it's cool to. I don't know. It just feels good to have your work actually out there. You know, it's not behind like a fucking paywall on Patreon or a YouTube short or something like that. It's like it's an actual movie, and it's there for consumption in the market. You know, that's always what I wanted, was to, you know, make movies that people can actually watch and not just to spend all my time, you know, well, working a real job running movie theaters, but also like, you know, doing videos for YouTube and stuff. Because I like doing reviews for YouTube, but I also kind of get to that point where it's like, well, if you can do better, then shut up and do it. And that's what I want to do, is shut up and do it. So that's it. Have a good one, guys.